Hello, I'm Caitlin Young, and this is the presentation for Team 3's case study. Um, this case study is about a girl named Jane who sees something going on with her team and can't quite figure out if she should report it or just keep silent and keep to herself. So, first of all, we're going to talk about some of the relevant facts with this case study. There are about 4 or 5, and the first one is Jane's new job. She's a recent college graduate. She just graduated. She's a payroll manager at a company called R&S Electronics. They have about 75 employees. She was hired by Eddie, who was the general manager, and in the case study, it explains that he stresses the importance of confidentiality. The second relevant fact that we'll talk about is previous employees firing. So the last payroll manager was fired for breaking confidentiality, and that's what Eddie was trying to get her not to do. So that's another thing that Jane was worried about, was getting fired because of reporting what she saw. But we're going to get to that in a second. The third relevant fact that we'll discuss is Greg's special treatment. So Jane saw Greg and Eddie and how close they were, and she started to piece together some things that she saw, and she notices that Greg was earning a higher commission than most of the other employees, and was also getting assigned to like special assignments that were easier, and was basically just kind of getting his job handed to him and making a lot more at that. The fourth fact that we'll talk about is Eddie's threat to Jane. So Jane noticed that Eddie was favoring Greg, and so she went up to Eddie, and he threatened to fire her if she were to tell anyone that those two had a close relationship. So those are the relevant facts for this case study, and we're going to move on to the next person.
Next, I'm talking about ethical issues, nepotism and fairness. Eddie favors his brother Greg by giving him easier and higher paying tasks, undermining fairness and merit. And then this could lower employee morale and create an unequal workplace. Then next is a confidentiality vs transparency. Jane must balance keeping salary details confidential with addressing unfair treatment, raising questions about workplace fairness. Then power imbalance and relation. The 83 puts Jane in a touch spot, like forcing her to choose between her ethics and job security as a new employee on probation. The final last is the responsibility to employee. Jane is responsible for making sure that the company is following policies that ensure fair pay practices, but Greg's special treatment disrupts equity in the system, and leaving Jane to decide whether to act or stay silent. That's our ethical issue.
Okay, so now we're moving on to course relevance and just some of the different topics in this case that relate back to our course content and different terms that we've learned this year. Okay, so the first topic that relates to some of the content that we've learned in class this far is ethical decision making. In this case specifically, Jane must decide how to address the favoritism going on in the workplace. She can apply different ethical ideologies like utilitarianism or deontology to guide her to make the right decision. She can either report the issue or stay silent, and analyzing these different decision-making processes can help her make that decision. Okay, so the next topic that relates to the course is conflict of interest. The different favoring of family members or employees or anything like that can harm teamwork and trust within the workplace. And learning about ethical leadership and how to provide ethical solutions to different issues can help fix these issues. And then we have whistleblowing and retaliation. In this case, Jane risks losing her job if she reports the issue. So knowing about these different legal protections and whistleblower policies can help her act safely and not put her job at risk while also still making the right decision. And the last topic that relates to some of the content that we learned in this course is employee rights. Knowing and understanding the fair treatment and protection from punishment laws for all employees is key in a workplace. Also understanding these anti-retaliation laws and different fair workplace rules ensures that everyone gets equal chances and equal opportunities.
So our team decided that Jane's course of action should be that she approach Brad, the owner, directly and have a private conversation with him about her concerns. We believe that this is the most beneficial way because it brings attention to the most important person in the company, and we can see whether or not he is approving this behavior, if he doesn't approve of it, and then he could decide what to do going forward. When she addresses her concerns, she needs to have documented evidence, and by doing this, she would have absolute concrete proof that this is what's happening. And our recommendation for that is, for one, she should observe any and all behavior between the two and see if it's amongst the normal behavior between the rest of the employees. Two, she should listen in on conversations between the two and accurately note anything of importance. Anything that's out of the ordinary, anything that shows favoritism, anything that shows that he is giving him easier work, getting him higher paying commission work, anything that she believes should be noted. And then she needs to research all the company policies and say, this one has been followed, this one hasn't, and bring that to his attention so that he knows what has been followed and what hasn't. By doing this, we could prevent this type of behavior going forward. And this would be the most realistic way to minimize her risk of losing her job, since Eddie did threaten retaliation against her. By bringing it to Brad, he could prevent this from happening. And we believe that this way she would be safer and her job would be safer so that she doesn't get fired on the spot, because we don't want that to happen. So that is our course of action, and we will be listing some alternative actions as well.
Yeah, coming off that, if Jane is experiencing favoritism at work, she has a few options for addressing this issue. First, she could drive in a private conversation with Eddie. In this discussion, she might talk about how tasks are given and share her concerns about fairness. This could help her determine if favoritism is something that the company condones or just Eddie's personal choice. A simple conversation can often go a long way. More often than not, people just want to be heard. This would be a go-to for me, as I think communication is the best way to get a lot of things done. Just like a simple conversation can mean the world to somebody. Can change somebody's entire opinion. If that conversation doesn't lead to a resolution, or if the problem persists, Jane could consider a technique called whistleblowing. She could use available internal resources like an anonymous ethics hotline, or even speak to an external, such as like a blog, especially if the issue is affecting the company's integrity or fairness. As this technique is unauthorized and can sometimes make someone look unprofessional, this is not an alternative that I would go for right off the bat. Comparing a simple conversation to a whole technique like this is two completely different things. So just when going through alternatives, it's wise to make the wise choice, I'd say. But finally, if Jane believes that the actions of her colleagues violate labor laws or company policies, Seeking legal counsel would be a wise next step. A lawyer could offer guidance on her rights, including issues of retaliation and confidentiality, helping her navigate this situation effectively. This would also be a professional way to keep her safe by law, as it's one of its jobs to protect the wrongdoings. But ultimately, the main decision we decided upon as a group is what we believe would be the most effective and beneficial. Yet with every decision made, there's always different ways to go about it.
Thanks for tuning in to our case study about Jane and the decision that we decided that she should make in order to have the best possible outcome for herself. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.